Hi, I hope you all are doing well. I was not planning on making a video. I haven't done a video in quite a while, but I've been on a bit of a hiatus sorting through lots of garbage actually, and then of course lately we've had a lot of dense energies that are coming up for clearing that I've had to unfortunately kind of dive back into some systems that I wasn't totally thrilled with. So it's been a lot of just kind of horrible exhaustion that I've been dealing with in terms of work and life and mission. Figuring out how to bring all these things together. So I kind of wanted to talk about what I've been doing, what I am working on, because as I was driving today, all kinds of things started to come together, and I wanted to share because I think it's important for others, because this is a piece of the kind of light journey, the ascension journey that I have struggled with the most, which is, okay, I have this energy field, this, what I've been told, right, is this brilliant light, and yet in my life, what the heck, it's not showing up that way. And not only is it not showing up that way, like I'm really struggling with how to move through that and how to bring that in, and struggling to see things in my own way and to totally trust in my own self moving through this and moving forward. So a few weeks ago, a couple months ago maybe, I don't know exactly, but I was guided to, because of that frustration, I was guided to start a group model of light progression in terms of how do we bring in this, and how it came through was this life work mission, right? So that we're not just, again, I always say, we're not now sitting up on the mountaintop, right, as these energetic beings just bringing in source light. We're supposed to be active participants within our own systems, within our own lives, where we're bringing this light and our work into our daily lives and our daily work. And that really is light mission, right? So, and looking at where are we missing all of these components, and why is this so difficult for myself? And so I started, working through this group to kind of call in, like I said, it was born out of a lot of frustration for myself. And what I'm starting to recognize now is that the way that we can truly work with the light and call in the things that we need and that we require from, it's almost as if there is this gap between the light and between what we experience at the human level. And so I've started, my realm, my love has always been, I don't know why, right? But these meditations, deep meditations and hypnosis. And I know I had a few years ago actually come into contact with a couple of different hypnosis therapists, right? I started listening to these recordings and really just loved the way that my body would kind of move into this different realm. And the way that it uplifted me, and I felt so almost relieved, right? To be able to be in this space with my own self and not have any kind of interference from the outside really either, where I was just able to absorb and able to connect, and to kind of, once I came out of that, to bring that energy and that feeling forward into my life. So, and which is something I really got away from, and I got really confused and lost and like, what in the world? This is not an easy journey to navigate whatsoever, but I've been, of course, because there's been so much kind of horror and terror through my field, it's like I had to go like, oh my God, where am I? And to, I was kind of forced to go back and figure this out all over again, which is never fun. But what I have been doing now is running. I started with my own kids. I've been running these hypnosis sessions now. And with the kids, it doesn't end up necessarily being hypnosis, but running through this model, which I have realized now, as I was talking about this group work that I started calling it the Master Builder program, really, and posting the schematics of what had come through with this group. And what I realized, my background, of course, is in architecture, and architects get a really bad rap because they have this, people look at them as if they sit in this kind of ivory tower and they create these drawings, and then the construction crews take these drawings out into the field and they're like, this doesn't work, like you didn't consider all these issues along the way here, like you didn't overlay this stuff. Do you see how you're expecting 4 different mechanical systems to come into this little area, and it's just not going to work, so back in the old days, right, they were master builders though. So I remember reading this beautiful book, and it was all about this cathedral that was being built, and the master builder that was the one in charge of building this. The master builder, there was no such thing as an architect back then. It was the master builder who had the vision, who brought this all the way through from vision into the built environment, right? He essentially created through the entire realm of vision to actualization, right, into the field, the arrival of the building, coming to fruition. And it wasn't just that he had vision. He was a builder, and that he knew all of the techniques of each process that went into building this cathedral. So he knew about foundations. He knew about stone setting. He knew about the engineering aspects, right? The loads and the structures. He knew how to buttress and how much weight would hold, just, by through his experience, really, learning on the job, right? And he's always been an active participant in that, and he just knows it all the way through and through to his core. And so really that is the model that I am working through. When I work through these sessions, I realize it's about looking at the blueprint and seeing, okay, this is the design. And then, and this has been occurring with my children, and I realize now the possibilities of what we are able to call in. It's like where we start to see the gaps in the field that we can assist energetically to kind of bridge through that, to provide what is needed, right? What is kind of missing through the human experience. Because as we look at the blueprint, we see, okay, this is what should be, right? But then we look at the physical and we say, well, this is how we're actually experiencing it, and it's really not working for me. So what am I missing? And what we're able to do is to come in to, I kind of model it after a 3D modeling program, right? Which is that we bring the plans in, right, as this flat 2D template, right? It's like, here's where we're going to take the line work in the blueprint, and we're going to extract it into 3D form, right? We're going to build this 3D model. And when you go to render, right, so you hit this rendering, it's actually called rendering. You hit the rendering button, and it goes through, and it pixelates through, and it picks up the light and applies the light through this program to create this 3D model, right? So then you have this picture, this image now of what was originally just line work, flat 2D blueprint. Now it's coming into visualization. Now we can visualize this, and we can look at it and we say, okay, this window doesn't look good here. This doorway, it's going to be constriction. There isn't going to be flow here. There's not enough room for passage, this kinds of thing, right? So we go back and we adjust through, right? It's like, where do we need to bring into this blueprint to apply to make it render the way that we need it to look, and the way that things will flow properly, right, for the occupants within this building. So it's an interesting concept in that as I've been working on my kids now, it's not about, I've had a lot of hesitancy about posting these videos. Number one, because, well, I've always said, right, my life is kind of a mess. It's like, yes, I have this light, but then it's not occurring that way in my physical life. So I've had a lot of shame and a lot of guilt about that, about all these things that I kind of have in the closet, even though it's not really been in the closet. I've been pretty open about it, right? But it's like when I started watching these videos of my kids, it's like, but this is what needs to come up now, because there are a lot of children who are really suffering, and there are different ranges of children. They all didn't come in as crystal children, right, totally attuned to how energy works and able to flow that way. There are a lot who came in through the same kind of density models that we did, who have to not that they need to necessarily reorder in the way that we did, but there is this need for us to clear these blocks for them so that they can get on with their work. And the way that they experience that, or have been experiencing that, at least as I look at my own children, is a lot of frustration, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety because of what the world is showing to them and the way the world appears to them, and how they're having to move through the density of this world when they truly are these light beings who are here to bring these wonderful things in. And so as I've been working through these sessions, it's like I am a bit ashamed, right, to present, like, this is the reality we've been experiencing. And yet, as I go into these sessions, it's like, okay, here's what they're missing. Here is what they need to get to where they are supposed to be, right, and what they're supposed to be bringing in here. So it's been quite fascinating. And I realize now, even after these sessions, now I can go back and I can run through this light model to start to build for these children, right? What pieces are they missing? And again, it's so similar. It is the same thing, obviously, but it's like, where are we afraid to look at the darkness? Where are we afraid to face our shadows? And that, I see that through my own experience with my children. Like, not that I've been afraid to face it, I've been forced to kind of face all these, a lot of deep lineage trauma, right, that we have brought up and had to work through and clear out. And that's really essentially what we're all doing. But so it's looking at them and saying, okay, what do you truly need? Like, we're not going to hide behind drugs anymore. And we're not going to, wait for the therapist to try and fix this for you. And we're not just going to, like, do all these kind of external 3D things to try to fix this. We're going to go in through the light, and we're going to see. Through these videos that I'm going to start presenting, it's to show the progressions of what is truly possible. When we bring the light into the density, right? And really, so much of this is the reason why we're here, the reason why so many of us have had to really walk through this darkness and walk through all of this trauma, is to kind of experience this through the human, right? And to send this information back and to say, okay, this is where it's coming in, this is where it's affecting the biology, this is how it's playing out in the field through the human. And it's like, what would they call it? So on a job, right, if we need to change something, we're out in the field and we're like, this isn't working, we submit a change order, right? So we have to go back to the drawing board. Of course, it costs a ton of money. Change orders always do, right? But anyway, the point is that this is really the work between the human and the energy field and the teams, right? Which say that, okay, this isn't working. Where do we need to come in and make these adjustments? So it's to be open to the fact that, again, we have to face these shadows and we have to face what is not working in our lives. We can't just lay down and say, okay, and sometimes there are these huge shifts and transitions that will come in through the collective fields, and that's wonderful. But we are all each individuals as well, right? We need fine-tunement sometimes. Fine-attunement? We need to fine-tune certain aspects sometimes. So this is where it really kind of pays to take a deeper, closer look to analyze these minute details of things that are affecting us. So I hope that makes sense. And so I'm going to continue to post the videos, and part of doing this too is not just to put out these beautiful videos that show this massive, like, immediate transformation, but it's to show the progression of what is possible through the light, right? And of course we're moving towards that anyway, but this has to get out into the fields first. We have to set that up. So this is really what I'm going to be doing, is to post in order to track and to watch and to draw. Really, it's like analyzing and drawing these conclusions and seeing where we still need to bring in adjustments collectively as well. So I hope you will take a look at those as I start to post them. They're not going to be beautiful, polished, pieces of work, because after all, we are just human, and, we need to show up in our authentic ways too. It's like camera batteries die, we have to move things around, we feel awkward, and there's weird silences sometimes, don't entirely know how to present all of these things. So again, I hope you will take a look at those as they come out. And this really is to assist the collective fields as well. And, these children who are coming in, who are really needing to step up at this point. I shouldn't say coming in, but they've really suffered long enough, and it's time that we start clearing these pathways for them to get on with their work. So your support and all of that would be much appreciated. So, all right, I think that's all I have for today. So much love, so much compassion. Thank you for joining on this journey and through this mission. And take good care. We'll talk soon.